Business feels harder than it should, right? Not harder than it used to be necessarily, though for some of you that's also true, but harder than the effort you're putting in would suggest it should be, right? Like a return on your energy has shifted and nobody told you why.
This is the Born to be Brilliant podcast, helping you harness the habits and unlock the tools to bring you more meaning, vibrance, and the personal power to help you shine like the diamond you are.
Welcome back to the Born to be Brilliant podcast. I'm Lucy Shrimpton, and if you're new here, hey, I'm really glad you found this. So today, I want to talk about something that I know a lot of you are feeling right now, even if you haven't quite put it into words yet. Business feels harder than it should, right? Not harder than it used to be necessarily, though for some of you that's also true, but harder than the effort you're putting in would suggest it should be, right? Like a return on your energy has shifted and nobody told you why. If that's landing for you, stay with me because this episode is for you. Okay, let's start with what's actually. Naming it honestly is the first step. The market has changed and it's changed significantly. Buyer behaviour is different. Attention is more fragmented than it's ever been. People are scrolling more, consuming more content, but committing less quickly. The trust threshold, the amount of time and evidence it takes for someone to feel ready to invest in something, is higher than it was even 2 or 3 years ago. And the part I really want you to hear is that it's not a personal failure. That's a contextual reality. The strategies that worked brilliantly 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, were built for a different landscape. A landscape with fewer voices, less noise, shorter buying cycles. When those same strategies feel less effective now, it's not because you've done anything wrong, it's because the environment they were designed for no longer exists in that same way. The world your business is operating in has evolved, full stop. So, what do most people do when they feel this kind of friction? So this is what tends to happen. You're going to feel maybe like the offer is wrong. They start questioning everything. They pivot, they repackage, they start researching what everyone else is doing and try to reverse engineer it. Or they decide that they need to do more content, more platforms, change platforms to a new platform, more strategies, running at that same pace. And I completely understand that impulse. When something doesn't feel like it's working, the natural response, right, is to change it or increase it. That feels productive and it feels like you're addressing the problem. It's proactive. But what's actually happening in a lot of cases is that you're responding to a shift in the environment with instability in yourself. And that combination is where things get stuck. I know this because I've lived it. For the best part of a decade, whilst I was building and growing an international company in sleep consulting, which, by the way, was working and was succeeding, I was simultaneously trying to birth something else. This brand, this work, the thing that's been mine since before I had the words for it. And what I did during that time, with the best of intentions, was things like invest heavily in learning. More training, more coaches, more programs, more studying what successful people had done and trying to model it. And none of that was a bad thing in isolation. But what I now understand is that none of it was ever going to give me the answer because the answer was already in me and not something that someone else could possibly articulate or see. So I was trying on a load of different hats, following other people's maps. And the whole time it felt like a little strained, a little off, because it was off. It wasn't fully mine. And I knew it. The way you know when something doesn't quite fit, even when you can't articulate why. I'd also experienced what really does fit, like what properly feels like a good fit. So I knew that that wasn't it. The clarity that I've been searching for externally for nearly 10 years arrived the moment I stopped outsourcing it. The moment I came back to what I had always known I wanted to create, stripped of all the fear and all of the other people's noise and ideas. No one out there has some secret sauce that will transform your outcomes. It's you who changes everything. I believe that with everything I've got. And I also know how counterintuitive it feels when you're in the fog. So, what does this moment actually call for? Not reinvention, adaptation. There's a difference, a really meaningful difference between those two things, and it matters enormously right now. Reinvention says, what I've built isn't right, I need to start again. Adaptation says, what I've built has real value, and the way I'm communicating and connecting it needs to evolve with the world around me. The businesses that are navigating this period well are not the ones who panicked and pivoted. They're the ones who went deeper rather than wider, who chose clarity and trust over visibility hacks, who focused on building genuine connection with the people already in their world rather than chasing volume. So depth over noise and trust over tactics. That's one of the biggest changes. And underneath all of that, this is the part most people skip, is the question of how you're responding internally to that pressure. Because your nervous system state, the decisions you make from a place of fear versus a place of groundedness, whether you're operating from clarity or from anxiety, this stuff shapes your output. It shapes how you show up to your audience. It shapes the decisions you make about your business. It shapes everything. When I say your response to the environment determines your results, I mean that literally. Two businesses facing the exact same market conditions can have a very different outcome based entirely on the internal state of the person running them. I've seen this firsthand and I felt it. This is where I'm going to say something that might feel uncomfortable, but I want to offer it with love and care. If you're someone who is capable, genuinely capable, you have the skills, you have the experience, you have the work ethic, and things are still not flowing the way you know they could be, the question worth asking is not what strategy am I missing? The question is, what is happening beneath the surface that's creating friction between your intention and your results? Because knowing what to do and actually embodying it are two entirely different things. And that can sound like just words until you really let that land and feel it. You can have every piece of the puzzle intellectually and still find yourself repeating patterns, holding back, playing smaller than you know you're capable of. This is the conversation I want to be having, not the surface tactics, though those are, of course, important. They do matter. But the deeper work of understanding why brilliant, capable people get in their own way and what it actually takes to shift it. And that is exactly what I'm going to be unpacking in a live webinar that I have coming up very soon. If what I've been talking about so far today is resonating with you, if you recognize yourself somewhere in this conversation, I want you to check the show notes because I'm hosting a live webinar and this is precisely what we're going to be doing and digging into together on the webinar. Not a polished presentation full of generic advice. A real honest conversation about what's sitting in the gap between where you are and where you want to be and what to do about it. The link is in the show notes, so come and join us for that. It's coming up really soon. So let me bring this back to where we started. If business feels harder right now, you're not imagining it at all. The landscape has genuinely shifted, and that is affecting everyone. But The people who will come through this period with their businesses stronger and their sense of self intact, and not the ones who found the right hack or stumbled on a new strategy. They're actually the ones who got honest about what was really going on, who chose adaptation over panic, who did the internal work alongside the external strategy, who stopped looking for the answer outside themselves and trusted what was already there. You already have what it takes. The work is in removing what's covering it. That, at its heart, is what Born to be Brilliant is about. So thank you so much for being here today. If this episode has landed for you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already subscribed, do that now, because what's coming over the next few weeks builds on everything we've started here. And you're going to want to be along for the whole journey. I'll leave the details in the show notes, the webinar link, and also a mention of something I'm building that I'm genuinely excited about to my core. It's called eSchool. It's not ready to be talked about fully just yet, but if you're curious, you can get yourself on the waitlist and be the first to know when the doors open. So until next time, you were born to be brilliant. Don't let anyone or anything convince you otherwise. See you soon.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, go out there and shine your light bright because you were born to be brilliant.